And welcome back. We are beginning our second segment this morning. We have with us on set representatives of the Caye Caulker Belize Tourism Industry Association. We have Chapter President Maria Vega. Good morning.
Good.
Yes, good morning.
We also have Buddy Magana Jr., who's the secretary. Good morning. And the treasurer, Akheil Badillo. Good morning, folks. Begin by giving us an update as to where we are at present insofar as the utilities on the island.
Okay, well, to begin with, we want to say a big thank you to everybody that supported Caye Caulker. All of you that were with us through the troubled times. And especially those who came out for any of our press conferences or peaceful protests and like that. And of course, the whole nation and the security forces for being so gracious about all the events. At this time, we are patched in for power and water. Yes, it is a prayer and a promise that we are on. Some more, as they say, used equipment from in-country has been borrowed and put to Caye Caulker that has brought up the power and water supply so that we are operating.
Have you had uninterrupted service since it was restored?
No, we've had low pressure and we've also had a blackout again or some brownouts. But I imagine we're getting some investments that have been promised. Everybody is saying for the service suppliers, not the utility suppliers, that they will be stepping up their game on Caye Caulker, trying to meet the load for the growth of the village.
It couldn't have been a worse time for both utilities to have failed on the island at what is considered one of the peak seasons.
Yes.
One of the things that came to light from I think the first consultation was people were just starting to tally up the impact of losses from the extended time without water or without electricity. Where are you in terms of being able to put together those numbers from your members?
Well, consider that we have different levels of losses. We have for households, we have from the employees, we have from the business owners.
Yeah.
And so we encourage everybody to make their claims. The utility companies have put customer service person on the ground to work one-on-one with persons. And we are sharing the claim forms and like that, but it's a set procedure that you have to go through. And if we say like, if we have 500 households, let's say, just look at domestic, if we have 500 households and somebody lost a $300 TV and a $200 microwave, then you just multiply, right? So you already have like in the $250,000 losses just for one small thing. And if you think that people had other more sensitive equipment, which is the reports that we are getting also, because you have a lot of office equipment and other equipment. But it's an ongoing process, and we encourage each and every community member to process their claims. We know that some of the other associations have been running tallies by internet and Facebook and things like that with the business community at large, and I know that those are in multi-million dollar.
This is my curiosity.
Losses.
Multi-million dollar?
Which is my curiosity, right? In following this whole thing and covering it, I am aware that Belize Electricity Limited has made available the claims for you guys to be able to assess your damage and be able to submit for it. But it doesn't speak to any losses based on cancellations for those who are in the tourism industry, right? So if you have a damaged appliance, for instance, you could fill out the form and say, okay, I lost a refrigerator or a microwave or a flat screen TV, etc. And so they will look at that, make an assessment, and then you're probably eligible to receive some compensation. But if you're a hotel, you had 50 guests who are booked for that week, and then all of this happens, and those people pull back. That's potential loss of revenue that you can't recover because that is not made available in the claims process. How are you guys absorbing that?
Well, I would say put that in your claims process too if you have proof, because they said if you have proof of proof and you can show your
The
paper
bookings
trail
and the-
of
yeah.
your losses, then you need to support any claim. So I wouldn't say that it's an automatic now. I would encourage people to
You're still
make the
encouraging
claim
people to
also.
put that, yeah.
On individual level, then there's always the recourse to claim for losses as a civil suit or something like that.
Which
right?
was my other point.
So
to
that
ask.
would then be an individual thing unless people wanted to
But
organize for
Wouldn't
that.
it be, in your opinion, more powerful a statement to make and perhaps more effective if a class action suit was taken? So for instance, if you have 30 or 50 business owners come together and there are claimants on one application that says we're suing BEL or BWS or whomsoever.
The option is not off the table. Okay?
Yeah.
The option is not off the table, but going forward, we have to say that there are many other options that people can take too. You know, you can go that route or invest more and become more self-reliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you are better protected if this happens again.
Yeah.
There's, for example, today the Ministry of Tourism is, and tomorrow they're holding sessions directly with hoteliers for renewable energies and making plans for that now so that individually people can prepare better. It would also be good in terms of one of the costs that we tend to ignore some of the time, and that's the cost of the environment of holding on to very inefficient or polluting sources of energy. And so if you would see sometimes the thickness of that smoke coming off of the generators, you'd be horrified.
Yeah.
And so there hasn't been an investment of, let's say, even filters, even one-step filtering of the exhaust coming off. And that's a terrific cost to the environment and to people's health. So then if we can use this as a wake-up call for everybody.
Yes.
Because, you know, if the utilities were not doing the best job and we were accepting it, then there's, you know, we need to ask for better and speak loudly for better.
I hear what you're saying. It's like a wake-up call for everyone, for the utilities that seem to have dropped the ball on Caye Caulker, but also the businesses itself that kind of have to look towards being more self-reliant, given the challenges in being able to secure the services in Caye Caulker. I have one question before that, though, because I think what has been unspoken is the PR nightmare that was avoided for 5 days, and I don't know how that was possible. You know, we hear stories of people who are canceling, people who demanded refund, but I think it also goes to show that there is some exceptional customer service available in Caye Caulker, that people weren't on Twitter blowing up about how terrible Belize or Caye Caulker is, or disaster vacations, or talk to us about how you were able to keep the image of the island protected.
Well, having known that Caye Caulker BTIA have been in existence for over 30 years, in our chapter specifically, we have our course coordinator here that we deliver different courses to for such occasion that people would know, front desk workers would know exactly how to go about dealing with a situation whenever one arises. So for something like this, I myself took the initiative while going to work, and people voicing their concern, having guests who are friends of mine being upset about the fact that they don't have water or electricity. I could recall there is this specific Airbnb that they were staying at that they said they were proud to say they stayed there because there was a backup source where there's a well and water tank. So they didn't really worry much about the fact that they lost the electricity, but they also explained that this will be a hold up until whatever the problem is could be resolved. So back to what Ms. Maria said, the very old days of Caye Caulker, I could recall my grandfather had a pump, a well, and also a water tank. And these were the things that had helped them and myself get throughout the process of maybe growing up. I cannot recall anybody was ever getting sick from using any of the natural resources. And having known that the change had made with the Belize Water Services Limited, and it was enforced that you must be on the Belize Water Services Limited water supply, I think it's not a bad idea, but I also believe that all hotel owners, all stakeholders on the island, whether they're a part of Belize Tourism Industry Association for Caye Caulker chapter or they're running independently without having any association backup, they should have a plan.
Here's the thing, and this was my observation on the island when I was there. I find it difficult to understand or believe that an investor would pump in, for argument's sake, $1 million in a resort or a business and not have certain basic things in place, like reserve water or an alternate energy source, power source. Like, how do you not? That should be part of the business plan or the module from the beginning. And you attend this meeting where people are complaining loudly that, you know what, I'm affected, my guests are affected, I've lost so much. And then you look at the scope of their investment and you say, but how do you put in $1 million and never had that in the back of your mind that you ought to protect that investment by having these things in place? Isn't that something that you guys have found on the island as well?
Exactly so, and I would say more than likely, all of them, I would say to an extent, would be highly confident of the services, not knowing that the island is being in that rapid growth process. Maybe the water supply and the electricity supply hasn't been in a plan, a strategic plan whereby they could have proceed with the growth, because Caye Caulker hasn't been moving according to that slogan of which is popular to many people, go slow. It's been growing
so that rapid pace. Yeah.
But we just want to make sure that it keeps as natural as it is, knowing as we
this is part of the problem, though, and again, you'll forgive me, I'm an outsider. I just appreciated everything when I went to the island, not on vacation, but to actually get a grasp of what's taking place, right? So as with most of what has happened in the country, there hasn't been a development plan where you provide utilities to match the demand in growth and what have you. So you find that you have businesses going up in residential areas, you have all of this thing that is not properly planned out, and then you're expecting the utilities to be able to provide the same amount of output when there's nothing set in place that says, okay, this is residential, this is commercial, this is communal space or what have you. How do you address that problem? Because now Caye Caulker has boomed considerably from the time when we used to go there at 15 years old to spend Easter.
It's not supposed to be as ad hoc and out of control as or haphazard, may we say, as is appearing. I can tell you that we've sat at planning tables with all authorities and agencies. We have our first plan with the coastal zone for a Caye Caulker vision from 2001. We've had, as the BTIA, lobbied for analysis of the needs for water and sewer since 2011. We've, lobbied to get in-depth studies funded so that the government would have guidance and the decision makers would have guidance on the best way forward. So we have been at the table where we've said lot sizes should not be so small, because it's for people's health, right? You need so much space, you need open space. The more urbanization you have, the more open and green space you need for mental health and other health, And so we've been at these planning tables, but somewhere in the decision making at some other level, things get ignored or shelved or very much delayed. For example, the submarine cable that may have been a cleaner energy was from 2008. So look where we are. But so things that just take that long or are ignored and people override whoever is in decision-making capacity.
That would have been my question, because I hold a differing opinion from Isani in that the tourism ministry has the numbers. We get the numbers every year for how many people come into the country, where they're going. They monitor water taxes, they monitor flights. They have the hotel association numbers, they have the Airbnb statistics. So we know that Caye Caulker is one of the sought after destinations, and for quite a while as well. But it seems that for some reason there hasn't been as much of a focus. Now, to be fair, it was only till recent that San Pedro got their water issue dealt with, where every Easter and sometimes peak season they'd have the water trickling out of their pipes. But why is it that you feel, or how do you use this opportunity to ensure that when a discussion takes place about development of destinations, that Caye Caulker is put as one of the priorities, as one of the booming destinations?
I think it's to do exactly this, appreciate the opportunities we have to give a deeper understanding of what Caye Caulker is, and also of what the tourism industry is. I think sometimes the industry itself is not understood, that we end up squandering, or we end up over commercializing what is your competitive edge. And for example, Caye Caulker, as has been mentioned, is a preferred destination. It's sought after right now for things that if we keep up the very rapid pace of development, without the smart infusion into that development, then we'll end up losing exactly that, the change of pace that people like, the relaxed atmosphere, the fact that you're in an embracing community, that people are genuine. So when you ask what was our customer service and marketing, that is exactly it, that people like that Caye Caulker is real. Once upon a time, the tourism industry was separated as a front of house and back of house operations, so the tourists never saw back of house. In the case of Caye Caulker, there has never been back of house. When you get on Caye Caulker, you have access to everywhere.
What you see is what you get.
So you've always been part of the production of this product from all angles. And people will tell you that, and especially with the technology today, all of that is, as you say, pumped up right away instantaneously. And the people of Caye Caulker in the crisis did exactly what they needed to do. Keep soldiering on. You have people in front of you, do your best, put your best foot forward, put your best face forward, and serve your clients in whatever adversity.
We three right here, we are locals from Caye Caulker. It's just generation after generation that keeps on handling all these issues that come on Caye Caulker, right? So we've dealt with it before, less, but this one has been the most, one that had the most impact on the island, and we've seen that we need to do something about it. We have not fully been dependent on the utilities before, so we need to be dependent ourselves. As stakeholders, we need to do our best to provide the service and do our best to give to the tourism industry.
And I think another thing to consider too, knowing that as I said about the development of the island, we need to also maybe seek some sort of demands from the Central Building Authority. It's not much of the local responsibility. If you have a duty, that's your job to make sure that certain things are done or not done, in the sense that approval for certain heights in building, and also there's a certain measurement on each property where you should build. I think all the huge hotels going up, I am not against what is happening, the development, but having it being maybe over what is supposed to be in their legal aspect is that you should keep it within that means. Nobody should be able to walk over the council or any association or even go around and do anything to get an approval to proceed with a building or construction. That in itself, it takes a lot of energy and also supply of water. So for the most part, if there was a guest on a third or fourth floor room, having a shower, the rooms are not built that you could have proper air access because of air condition. You could just imagine some of the turmoil and the disaster in that
inconveniences.
room, right?
So I'd imagine, sometimes in crisis what it does is kind of refocus issues. So what is the position now of the BTIA? In fact, I know that you've taken this opportunity when you were without electricity and water to focus on looming challenges like sewage and being able to put that information out as well. What other issues are you talking about to be preventative?
I want to talk about the sewer a little bit in that it's the it didn't just come up now. Yeah. Actually, last year we ran a full community petition, which we have forwarded through the BTIA to the relevant authorities. We have been discussing with them. As I said, from 2011, we put in the sewer because usually sewer is paid off by water usage, right?
Yeah.
Right, fresh water. So we already pay the highest rates of water on Caye Caulker, and although like your Belize city rates include your sewer, San Pedro rates include sewer, we are already paying more only for water. So that's already a cost problem. But the alternative is worse right now. So we need a lot of attention to that now. The other problems are, of course, the destruction of habitat that we know. You know, mangrove and the coral reef and the turtle grass are prime for food to begin with, to feed our own selves and then our visitors. And so food security, we're looking at climate change. And I must congratulate the community of Caye Caulker because we've been going through also months of preparation for resiliency, for disaster response. So like in the recent disasters from September to now, the community has been quite well trained and responsive and engaged. Yeah. And that includes the BTIA as well as our health platform, as well as our disaster response team and several others. And then we are looking also as the BTIA with the fire service. March, the month of March is simulation month, and so we want to have like a community-wide fire simulation exercise. So we've been talking with that. We had training already with the fire service and the community for fire prevention, and then we also did a drill exercise at one of the properties to actually
one of the things that stood out to me.
So we have a number of things that are on the table.
One of the things that stood out to me in light of all that has happened is the fact that while yes, Caye Caulker is a rapidly growing island and it's prime for tourism, in terms of proper health care on the island, that remains a huge concern. When I listen to one recent investor, stakeholder come forward and say, you know what, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have water. My boyfriend has a particular medical condition and he could have lost his life because we didn't have proper access to healthcare during that time. That raises serious alarms because that is one isolated case, but it could be for everybody else.
Could be for more.
Yeah.
There was definitely a communication problem with some agencies. That was one of the things. Yeah. We're lucky we had a runner. Now we're not lucky. We know that where everything else fails, we have to fill in otherwise and effectively. So we had our means of getting information out. And probably it's because we grew up with actually somebody in the village walking around with a sandwich board when we needed announcements. We actually had somebody with a big board front and back, and that was our iPhone. But so we have these memories of being able to do otherwise, not only press a button. But that was one. The health center, there is a health center, there is a doctor and nurse posted there, and they also have volunteers that help at the health center. We also have a community health person, and they are available all the time. And the health center did have a backup generator operating during the crisis. That was donated by the Red Cross and USAID recently, right? Okay. In the training that we did, then the community was gifted a whole set of emergency tools, equipment, phones, and things like that. We've also, as villagers, mapped out different areas and resources and things like that, so we know where things are for in any disaster, that we don't have to always start to be looking for things. And so we're this week having a meeting again with the Ministry of Health. There's also a designated area for a new polyclinic. And if that goes on schedule. We always hear that these things should happen like by 2018 and 2011 and 20 this and 20 that. You hear a few times that they even secure the money and then something else happens and it doesn't happen. So we can only keep asking for more accountability and more involvement of the community. There has to be oversight at every level, because sometimes we can't just leave everything in the hands of the village council too, because there are federal laws and there are local levels of activities, and we have to obey the law. And sometimes there are petty quarrels amongst the village councils too. You know, like for example, myself, any plan I put for development, I must leave by the local council 10 feet of parking space everywhere else, but very few people otherwise are asked to do that. I say, why only me? Everybody is building to the edge of their property, why only me? And then, so there has to be oversight for when injustices are done too. We are supposed to all building requests or development, we are supposed to inform the village council and ask for a letter of recommendation. But if you put in your plan like 9 months and nothing, you don't hear an answer, you will go otherwise, right? And then like in my case, like 9 months later, I got a letter saying no to everything. But I had already gone the other direction and my building was already in process, right? So but if they take that long and then you're blocking the whole community from an economic infusion or investment or progress, then there has to be some level where these problems can be aired and ironed out, and where things can be objective. So as I said, it's a
checks and balances.
Yes, proper checks. It's a wake-up call all around, and if it took this to get our voices heard and to get us on a more united front with our service providers, our utilities, our different industries, because that's another nice thing about Caye Caulker, that as much as it is tourism, we are still a community, you know, and a national, local community.
And I hear what you're saying in terms of a wake-up call. How are you using the opportunity with the conversation already started on looking at future developments? We saw the area representative and Minister of Tourism having a presence while this crisis was taking place. We saw collaboration with the village council. We saw BTB going out as well. How do you use this opportunity to ensure that all the other issues get put on the agenda as well? Do you continue engagement with these bodies?
Yes, we do. We have set actually the National BTIA on our behalf is arranging a meeting with the minister, and we are continuing our efforts with the BTIA in the greening efforts that they want to pursue nationally, as not only the image but also the substance of a lot of what we do. Especially like with the birding festival that they are promoting also, and trying to get more people involved in that. On the ground, we are also with the ministry, with the solar and renewable energies for today and tomorrow. People, please sign up and please go get your individual assessments and see if you can afford to help yourselves. With water, we will continue with the community and to see where we're going with securing. And
we can't lose sight of the fact that you're still waiting for the permanent solutions. You're under the temporary fix for now.
Our job is to develop invest in the industry, develop, employ people, serve the customer. If we have an agency that says their sole job is to provide this, then yes, we would want to have some confidence that if we subscribe and pay, that we will get that.
That's only fair.
None of us said our business was providing energy or providing water, so we can't. We put in the superstructure and the service, and then we expect that the infrastructure is matched along the way. But now we see that we have to, as you said, be a lot more cohesive in getting the plans working together.
Well, we want to thank you for coming in and giving us this update as to what's been happening on Caye Caulker. And of course, we will continue to follow with updates as well in our newscast. But thank you for coming in.
Thank you very, very much for having us here.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the upcoming calendar for professional development from the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Please stay tuned.